Year 1912. The moonlit night cast its enchanting glow upon the ocean's surface, and those embarking eagerly on the Titanic felt as if they were sailing toward a promising future. Amidst hopeful passengers and crew members, people were ready to experience an unparalleled journey on the most luxurious ship of the time. On a tumultuous night of April 15, Captain Edward Whitman proudly steered the ship through the calm but chilly waters of the Atlantic. Passion and adoration for the freshly inaugurated Titanic resonated everywhere, from the upper deck to the elegant cabins. However, in the dark depths of the ocean, something unseen awaited patiently. Slowly, shadows gathered around the ship. It was a prelude to tragedy, but no one knew that history would forever preserve this night in its darkened pages. On the upper deck, Amelia Howard, a young traveler with her family, had fallen in love with the romance of the journey. Yet a strange sense of unease began to overshadow her heart. Gazing toward the horizon, she realized not everything was as it seemed. As the Titanic's headlights enveloped the water around, a whispered sound seemed to speak to her in an ancient language. Amelia wasn't the only one hearing it. Passengers and crew members began to feel an inexplicable presence spreading through every corner of the ship. An elderly widow, Agnes O'Reilly, traveling alone, returning to her native Ireland. Her entire family had succumbed to typhus, and now, amidst the luxury of the Titanic, she felt like she had lost her soul in the cold waves of the Atlantic. Every night, however, she silently conversed with the spirits of her departed loved ones. As the Titanic sailed north, travelers began to wake up in the middle of the night, feeling an unprecedented cold. It was a chill that came not from the air, but from below, from the cold depths of the water. In his cabin, Thomas McConnell, a dedicated mechanic, dreamt of a better life for his family in America. Nevertheless, the creaking of the machines from the lower compartments made him wonder if the Titanic's gigantic machinery was indeed the heart of a living and merciless being. As Titanic advanced northward, travelers began to wake up in the middle of the night, feeling an unprecedented chill. It was a coldness that came not from the air, but from below, from the cold depths of the water. Around midnight, a deafening screech echoed in the air. Breaking the silence, other passengers woke up suddenly, looking at each other in horror as crew members rushed to spread the news of an iceberg on the horizon. But as the iceberg approached, many felt it wasn't the only danger. The air was filled with unknown voices, desperate screams, and the sighs of those lost. The ghosts of a future tragedy already haunted the deck. As the Titanic approached the iceberg, passengers began to see shadows in the water, the faces of those about to be lost. Despite the crew's desperate efforts, lifeboats were insufficient and panic began to spread. When the last lifeboat was launched, the remaining passengers felt as if the ocean itself was swallowing them. The lost souls made their presence felt, mourning their tragic fate in a symphony of despair. Journeys were coming to an end, and the Titanic was preparing to disappear into the abyss of the ocean. The last sound, a desperate scream of death, was swallowed by the dark waves of the Atlantic, and the story of the Titanic became an eternal one. As the remnants of the ship rested on the ocean floor, the shadows of the lost ones continued to haunt the depths. The Titanic story was not just about a naval tragedy, but about the souls that left their bodies that night, continuing to live in the collective memory of the sea. After the Titanic sank into the abyss of the ocean, the underworld became a haven for wandering souls. In the shadows of the depths, passengers and crew members resumed their existence in an immaterial form, an echo of past life. Amelia Howard, the young traveler, still found herself gazing at the dark horizon. The shadows of familiar faces surrounded her, and a sense of sadness and regret enveloped her. Agnes O'Reilly, the elderly widow, continued her conversations with the spirits of her loved ones, and the laughter and jokes of yesteryear echoed in a symphony of eternity. Thomas McConnell, the dedicated mechanic, felt the machinery of the Titanic coming to life in a mysterious way. The creaking sounds of the engines became a melody in the depths of the ocean, and the echoes of the Titanic were felt even by those who had departed from the earth. In the midst of this world of shadows and echoes, passengers and crew members found themselves in an unseen community. It was a refugee of memories, a place where time no longer flowed as people knew it on land. As decades passed, the shadows deepened in the story of the Titanic. The lost souls continued to relive their experiences, and each anniversary of the tragedy was marked by emotions and memories from that dark night. In this underwater world, Agnes O'Reilly became a kind of spiritual guide for others, sharing the wisdom gained in the realm of shadows. Amelia Howard traveled with her soul through the depths of the ocean, discovering that darkness was not only an absence of light, but also a form of existence. Thomas McConnell dedicated his eternity to understanding the machinery of the ship, and the mechanical sounds of the Titanic had become the song of the lost vessel. Instead of being a prisoner of a painful past, he found peace in the mechanisms that now operated in a much more subtle and mysterious way. To this day, the underwater world of the Titanic remains a sanctuary for lost souls. With each passing year, with each anniversary of the tragedy, the echoes of that tragedy, the echoes of that tragic night spread throughout the shadow community, reminding them that their lives, although changed, never truly extinguished. So, on the dark bottom of the Atlantic, the Titanic continues to live in eternity, and the shadows of lost lives find refuge in this mysterious world, where time loses its meaning and memories become eternal.